BOP, the BLERD official podcast. We are here. We are excited to see you. It has been a minute, guys. We have been having fun. Look at my crew. They are hyped. They are so hyped. Hilton George, how are you?
Oh, I'm hyped. Look, listen. Whenever I get a chance to talk to my girls, that's when I have fun. Because I'm a hermit. I don't talk to nobody. Don't nobody mess with me. So I get a chance to hang out with y'all.
I mean,
I'm like, now look, I'm known. I'm not popular. There's a difference. There's people who know you and be like, I know who that guy is. But then there's different people to be like, I'm gonna go swing by his house, bring some sandwiches or something like that. So y'all swing by with those sandwiches.
Next time we're in DC, we're going to swing by. We're going to bring some sandwiches because we are very happy to see you. No, we are so happy to see you. Christi Renee, tell this man we know how to make sandwiches.
Listen, matter of fact, we make sandwiches around here. So you can get a good sandwich.
We're from Texas. We can make a brisket sandwich. We can make some real meat and stuff.
See, we'll be all sleep on the show. Just the itis is taking us out because we all
listen. That's good. That's good times. Y'all ever tune into the TikToks and the people watching people eat, watching people sleep? We might be onto something here. What's up, y'all?
What's up, Christi? Christi has been snowed in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
and it has been crazy. We've seen the pictures. We are glad you made it out. California has been crazy as well with crazy rain. But you know what? We're here. We're going to forget about all of that. It is storming currently, so hopefully everything stays connected. And even if it doesn't, the show must go on.
Karen building an ark out there.
Listen, I told everybody. Everybody when this all happened with the snow, listen, y'all remember how from Charlie in the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, how Charlie's grandparents never got out their bed. That's how we were. We did for 2.5 days. Did not get out the bed. It was just so cold. When you see your breath just on the inside. On the inside. It was ridiculous.
Crazy.
Be a space heater.
Be a space heater, Jesus.
Jesus be some electricity and some water, because that's what we were out of. So, but we survived.
Too? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So when the water, just imagine. So yeah, it was tough. It was ripe. It was ripe around here. So yeah.
Even
see who your real friends are.
People are funky even in the cold. I guess.
Even in the cold. The cold ain't got don't care nothing about that. The funk don't care nothing about that cold. So yeah, it's we here though.
Well, speaking of funk, one place you can smell some funk is at a Comic-Con. I smell some funky people, but luckily in Seattle at Emerald City, everybody smelled good. It was a great time. We had fun. Y'all smelled great. We had a good old time. Hilton, you were also at a Comic-Con a few weeks ago. How was that?
Oh, listen, I go to so many cons, I'll be forgetting where I was. And
Mr. Con Man. That's why your handle is Con Man Hilton.
What is going on?
Mr. Popular.
Yeah, we were at KatsuCon, which was right in the middle of February. And it was gangbusters, as they say. Very well attended, a lot of good friends, a lot of good times, and we had a ball.
Yay. Well, that's amazing. That is amazing. Guys, there have been a lot of really cool nerd stuff that have come out. And one of the suggestions that Hilton put us up on was The Last of Us. Now, you guys know, I am not a gamer. I've never had even heard of this game. I'd never heard of anything. So I was that ripe prime audience that knew nothing. I knew nothing about the story. I knew nothing. And Christi, same thing. Christi and I knew nothing, and we were that audience. I was watching some of the behind the scenes that HBO has put together, and the creator of the show, Neil, was saying something about how there was some hesitation about this show coming out, and then because it had been an award-winning game, and it was like, why are we going to mess this up? Let's leave it alone. These games never adapt well into series, and it was just this whole thing. And he goes, guys, there are going to be so many millions and thousands of people who will never pick up a controller. who will never play this game. And this story is so great, and I believe in it so much. We've got to do the TV series. And they gave us everything. Guys, literally, like every week, I posted a thing. I was like, every week this show has broke my heart. Like week one was Joel and his daughter, right? Week 2 was Tess. Week 3 was Sam, or who was it? It was just every week we lost somebody. But it was brutal. So good. Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. And I'll tell you, the great thing about it is that you didn't have to know anything about the game in order to enjoy the show. Now, if you were a fan of the game, you probably had some nuggets and some little inside knowledge of the story and all that. And that kind of gave you a little extra dimension of enjoyment. But for me, as someone who has not played the game, I really, really enjoyed the performances, the writing, the cinematography, the concentration and development of character as a storytelling art. It was unparalleled. And we got to remember that this was an award-winning video game, not because of the gameplay, but because of the storyline. The stuff that happened between when you put the controller down and the game picks up and says, okay, now we're going to tell the story. We're going to have this dialogue. There's going to be acting. There's going to be scene and changes and all that sort of stuff. They built the show around those things that won the game the awards, so they couldn't lose. Every game doesn't do that. They've been struggling to put Mario on the screen successfully.
I am worried about this movie.
Other than him being a plumber who jumps on mushrooms, who might have actually been of use in the show. But anyway, there's the point is that there's not that much of a story to just pick up and run with when it comes to Mario.
Right.
And here with this, they just grabbed that story, they adhered to the core story, and it just took us away, just blew us away. It was amazing.
Took us on a trip. Yeah. I agree. Christy, what were your thoughts? I mean, you were like me. We were both like, we'd never heard of it, and it was just a show. And then and also it was a show that we don't really gravitate towards. Like, we're not into zombies. You and I share that. So we're like, I don't want to watch Walking Dead. Like, no offense to Walking Dead. That has been an amazing award-winning show as well. But I've never really been into the zombie thing. So it was very hard. But this was different. What were your thoughts, Christy?
It was very different. I mean, again, I was so thankful that I remember, again, I shared this before in previous episode that, I was like, I don't know, am I going to be able to, when I saw the first, and then
the first clicker,
and then it just that story, those characters. I mean, Pedro, come on. Pedro's like, Pedro kept pulling me in. So, which is, I mean, yeah, so amazing. Which is he Pedro Pascal playing Joel is just, he's fantastic. Bella is amazing. Like every episode, you're right. We fell in love with people and then we lost them.
Like a deep love.
Until the very end. So when we see Marlena, when she comes back, and then it's like, oh, wow. And again, there's still that, well, damn, and it just turns. And then just to know what this whole journey, to learn the ultimate journey, which would have been the ultimate sacrifice. And I think they both did that, but I know we're going to get into that in a sec.
Yeah, we're going to work our way to that.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, guys.
I loved it.
If you have not watched Last of Us, you got to turn it off, because literally, we're going to have a lot of spoilers in this show.
Just mute us.
We're going to just
press mute, because y'all can still look at us. We're fun to look
at us. But you're right. Pedro was everything. Bella Ramsey was everything. Like I love. And the funny thing is, I fell in love with them on Game of Thrones. They were both really standout characters. They came on and they did their thing. They weren't necessarily the leads, but they were characters that came in and really transformed the story. And I fell in love with them then. So it was only, the most poetic thing for them to reunite here. And I don't even think they worked together on the Game of Thrones. Like, they probably never even met.
What's so funny is I didn't even know that he was. I thought she was on the Game of Thrones. I didn't know that he was. So news to me.
Yes.
Pedro has been in movies that people were like, he was in that? Like, yeah, he was in Kingsman 2, and he was in, he was on Law and Order, and he's got all these,
He sure
all these roles.
Literally.
The Mandalorian, and I mean, he's everywhere.
Oh, but I'm mad at the Mandalorian because we don't get to see his face. So I'm mad at that whole. I'm mad at that whole setup.
See, this isn't the way, Christy.
This isn't the way, Christy. You need to keep watching. Oh my God, we're gonna talk about the Mandalorian too. But the thing is when I was watching Last of Us, the first episode, I was like, Mando, because like that voice is so iconic. And but can any of you? I don't even know if it's possible. Can you even pick a favorite episode? Because literally every episode ripped me to shreds, and I was like, how are they doing this to me? Like, and I keep coming back for more. I would never turn it off. But if I had to pick a favorite episode, I believe it was the episode with Henry and with Sam.
Yes.
Who, by the way, Sam will be at BLERD this year. Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations, Hilton. That guest list on that show keeps getting better and better. But that episode was everything, because we kept hearing about Henry. We kept hearing about this man that, they wanted to kill, and he was a bad guy, and you just kept getting this whole story. And Kathleen was searching for him, and had the whole mob was like hunting down.
She was crazy.
Yeah.
She was just crazy.
Yeah, and she's a great actress. Her name is Melanie Linsky. Oh my God, she's amazing. So anyways, they're all hunting them down, and then we find out why Henry did what he did, and he was trying to save Sam's life, his little brother. And it's just the agony of what happens when you're in this world. Like, if something happened this terrible in this world, and God forbid one of your loved ones got cancer, and you know that the medication is being regulated, you know that it's just bad. And what would you do? What would you do to save them? It was like the hard choices people had to make. And I think that was probably the biggest thing that drew me in. It was like, most of the people didn't want to be bad, but they had to make a hard choice. And I don't know, if I had to pick an episode, I don't know. That one and the one with Frank, and I don't know, but I think that might have been my favorite. But Hilton, do you have a favorite? Can you pick a favorite out of this show, because it's so good?
Well, you picked the one I would have picked, so I'll pick another one. But I will say, what I really loved about this show is that while they managed to stay, or what they call it, adhere to the canon of the game in general, they did make some very particular choices with their character and casting throughout the show to kind of tweak, some of the storyline and tweak some of the connection to the characters. And in this episode 3 with Sam and Henry, he basically wasn't deaf, and sign language was not a part of their relationship. But they felt like having a deaf little brother and introducing ASL as their almost kind of like their own secret language at this point would kind of heighten their connection, because you only had one episode to really get to know them. And that decision really made a lot of difference in the episode. I don't know it would have come off the same way if it had just been an older and younger brother. So that kind of a decision was bold. It was inclusive. But we've talked about this. These shows are doing a really great job in representation. My favorite episode beyond that, since you mentioned it, is the finale. But again, if you haven't watched it, turn off the volume. And it is because throughout the show, characters we love and have grown to love are not universally good. We learn more about these characters, as they go. Pedro Pascal is playing a character, who has murdered innocent people, who has hurt people in the interest of survival and just surviving in the world that came after this pandemic. And he makes a choice that a lot of people were like, wow, here we have,
it was hard.
You've got Bella, who's sitting there on the gurney. You've found the doctor, you found the hospital. The whole show has been about getting her to this point, and they're about to start operating. And he realizes that what they are actually looking for is not her blood. It is the antibodies that have come because she was born with these, with cordyceps in her body. And because she was born with it, when external cordyceps comes in, it doesn't infect her because her body sends a signal saying it's already infected, and so she doesn't turn. And so oh, well, that chemical is in the brain. And then you realize they're not just going to draw her blood, they're going to have to take her brain out and kill her in order to.
It's not easy. Yeah.
Right. Oh. So you've got what could be the fate of all humanity in the face of this fungus disease versus his love for this surrogate daughter that he's become attached to. And this man goes on a killing spree, kills everybody in the building with no compunction, no prejudice. He is not struggling. He is not.
There's no.
He's just like, he made his decision that he was going to save her, and anybody who stood in the way caught a bullet, and including Marlene. And he didn't hesitate to kill her. He's like, you'd only come
didn't hesitate.
Bam. And then lied to her because she was under anesthesia. And even in the game, this choice is made for you, and you are doing gameplay as you kill everybody in the hospital, but it doesn't give you the choice. You see the choice of the character, and you play the game after that choice.
Wow.
And it doesn't let you away. I even heard that in the scene where he's in the operating room, it won't let you leave the operating room. It won't let you do anything except shoot the doctor. You can stand there for a day and a half.
Oh my God.
The doctor. And the fact that the doctor, he knew that this is the doctor, though. How many doctors of this?
Yeah, how many have even survived? Like, would even know?
He didn't shoot him in the shoulder. He put a bullet right in his head to get to Olga. And I mean, that the willingness to embrace such a controversial choice that people would understand.
The dark side,
right. So what your point was, about making these hard decisions, just like we saw with Sam, in episode 3 and through other episodes, people have made very hard decisions, done bad things based on love or fear or whatever. And man, that was a real tough one. But I'm like,
and it just made you question everything, right? Because it's like, here we are, we loved Joel and we loved everything he stood for up until this point, but he would talk about that dark side and he would talk about those things he did. And to see him do it and to know this could be the key to change everything, and maybe she would have been the sacrifice, but he couldn't allow it.
In that episode, he said, we're going all the way. There's no turning back. She had embraced this far. Right. And so he knew that this is what she would have wanted and still decided. So it has so many layers of, it would have been one thing if she was not willing. That's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But no, she's like, this is what I'm here for. We have to.
It was one of those things where, again, you brought up Sam and Henry, and when, Henry realized Sam was infected and he was attacking Bella, or he was attacking, and there's once you're infected, you're infected. There's no turning back. And this is his little brother. This is the one he sacrificed everything for, and he had to kill him. And he just couldn't, in that moment, couldn't even deal with the reality that he had to kill him. He had to kill himself. It was just like, the agony. So, but it's just those hard, I can't even imagine being faced with a choice of life or death of your loved ones, and even that last episode, you didn't bring this up. And Christi, we're going to get to your favorite episode or your alternative favorite, because I'm sure you liked a few. But
ruined it.
the moment where we meet, it's in the last episode, we meet Bella's mom, and we see that she was pregnant, and we see how she gets infected. We see how she has the baby, and the baby happens because of just the trauma of this zombie attacking her. And her lying to Marlene, saying, "Oh no, I had the baby before, and it's fine. And her telling her best friend Marlene, here's the baby, take her, make sure she has a good life, and now you have to kill me." Oh man, because she got bitten. She knows it's only a matter of time before I become infected, and you got to kill me. And so, gosh, it was just so deep, so deep. Christi, what are your thoughts Did you have I know you love the Sam Henry episode. Did you have a favorite episode? Did you have one that just
I enjoyed the whole series, and I will say that yes, that would be my number one with Sam and Henry. Again, just heart wrenching because that's a child, and the extra heartstrings are naturally pulled if you have a heart. And then again, the innocence of the two of them, and just a young man being put in that position, since he's charged with having to take care of this little brother. I mean, it's just a lot. It was very difficult to watch. Very, very difficult to watch. The second one, I agree with Hilton, also would have been a first. The last, what I loved about it is that how it showed the parallel. I mean, I think it was Joel and his regrets of if he had pulled some triggers sooner, if he had done some things sooner, when it came to his own daughter, and when all of this, the whole outbreak began. And I guess having that, it was almost like this was the first time he just made the decisions to just go. There's no afterthought. There's no conversations about it, bash Mr. over the head and ask questions later. It was one of those moments. So he shined in that moment, and
like a soldier.
I would have probably done the same thing. Like, if again, this is a whole moral compass. It's like, where are you on this scale? So my third alternative favorite probably would be, okay, I know, right? It is a big drum. And I was so engaged in listening to, like, oh my God, this is why I love those two as well. I think there's two pieces. I'm going to say I loved the way they introduced this with the throwback footage. So from the very beginning, like, that drew me in because there's this historical marker in this story. And there's this.
You mean episode one?
Episode one, yes, how they even opened up this entire story. And that is always fascinating to me because it gives it such this, the science of it, which validates, the possibility and makes it even scarier because it could be possible. So I'm going to say the opening of episode one. And then I will say the episode where the town is presented, where he finds Tommy, his brother. And there is, I think it presents that level of hope that everybody is like, what will happen? We're all seeing what can happen, in the darkest of times. Is there any light here? Where it's not like the episode after that, where it's Crazy Town, where this man is trying to impregnate
that was a good episode, but it was crazy.
It was crazy, but it wasn't a place of
like the cult.
Yes, it wasn't in a cult. It was literally like the hopeful side of this dystopian. It wasn't a utopia, but it was a dystopian. The after the dystopia, there's hope within that. And so I just really loved how they were able to show, here's how we naturally restored, our sense of humanity, number one, our sense of functionality, our sense of survival, without having to, harm one another and always be in competition, and just the growth of it. Like, it was just that part is amazing because
I agree that episode.
I agree. Good observation.
Was really, really important episode, just to let you know, hey, you just left a real utopia. And it was an actual town. And it's ironic that the utopia after, with the cult leader and all that, was a fake resort. And it was kind of like ironic that they tried to build a utopia in a fake resort, and this is the result. And it was like this storytelling device that it's like, oh, this isn't even a real town. And that is why we're, kind of like the backdrop where they told that story. And Bella's performance at the close of that episode, and the trauma of being assaulted and all of that as a young child, and you just the brutal way she killed that guy. We're talking. We could say this about every episode, that there's just these amazing moments in every episode, but these particular ones, like the one Christi just mentioned, they do stand out. Because I was sitting there, because I don't wear pearls, but I clutched them. I was like, are Are they really going there?
Are they really?
Yeah.
I
was worried.
Please don't do this to her, please. Like,
Yeah, I
please,
was
she's lost
worried.
so much. Like,
Oh.
you could just tell. Like, and we had just come out of where Joel had been hurt, and we had just come out of the whole backstory of Bella,
Yes.
and where she was in, like, this is right when the pandemic hit, and she's in some sort of, like, where they're keeping the kids and they're training them, and
Fedra,
like
the whole
Fedra, yeah. And she was like,
cricket
we
legal
got to meet
system.
Riley. We got to meet Riley,
Yeah.
and we got to meet the horrific experience. And I got to send a shout out to Storm Reed, because, honey,
Yes.
she came in. Storm played the part of Riley. And she was Bella's best friend right when it first started, right when the pandemic first started. And she took Bella on this, one night before she left to go, be with the Fireflies. And she said, and it was so funny, because all the things that they wanted to do were just the most innocent of things. They went to the mall.
Yeah,
they rode a carousel. They got to play video games.
Before. Like, she's tripping out about an escalator. Like, I'm going up, I'm going down, I'm flying.
Yeah.
It was so sweet. And then at the end, they're attacked by, a clicker, and it's just, but it was such a necessary backstory as to why, Bella was kind of like, why Ellie basically said, she was going to stick with Joel, and she was going to do anything to help him and anything to save him. Like, she'd already lost way too much. And it gave us a glimpse of just the horrificness of all of this. And then we go, and she goes in, like you said, I was like, please don't take her through this. Like, she had to kiss the one girl that she fell in love with, her best friend. It was just, but
like, at that point, I was thinking the same thing and thinking, I'm gonna stop watching if they take her through this, because it's just pushing an envelope that was so unnecessary. It just would have been like over the top trauma, just almost. It's just it's almost the perversion of the show. Like, we don't have to do that much, right?
Yeah.
Like, we get it, but I love that they did make her a fighter, and she's always been a fighter. Again, literally born into the world to fight. So I was glad that went, it shifted the way that it did. And I thought that's the better way to go, not the safer way, but just the absolute best way to go.
Yeah. Well, if you watch the series, you have to watch. It comes on HBO Max. There's a after show.
Oh,
basically, after every episode.
That's everything.
The creators, and it's literally the producers, the creators, the actors, and they're walking you through every episode, what it took to shoot it. And the episode, they talked about that episode where they were like, you're waiting for Joel to save her, and you're waiting for Joel to show up, and you're waiting for Joel, and finally Ellie realized, no one's going to save me. I have to save myself. And she just unleashed her rage on that man and killed him. Like, he was not going to brutalize her, terrorize her. She was not going to fall into this cult community. Like, she was, and I mean, we found so many things were happening in that cult, situation where they were
cannibalism.
Starving. So they were like, they were eating each other, and it was just horrific, the things people were doing to survive. And even horrific to see, like, what someone like him, who he was using religion to kind of hide behind, but was just the most sinister, dark person ever. Very telling. Like, it almost foreshadows,
because he was too nice.
Now. Yeah.
Well, and he was
too nice. Anybody
in
the show, and he was even in the game. He was a villain who kind of came off as a nice guy and then ended up showing himself. And the thing I do like about this, as bad as this world was depicted, and it's so realistic and borderline just too brutal to watch in some cases, Bella Ramsey doesn't play a victim in any of these. She is never a damsel in distress. Even every moment of her captivity, she was solid in who she was and what she needed to do. There was never any hesitation about the posture she was going to take. And you never felt like she was some innocent, person who was going to be taken advantage of. We're like, she might have she almost got those keys. Like, and she did break his fingers, and she cussed him out when she could have, well, this would have been the easier way. Is to really get out. Yeah. You're like, nah, I just want to get a hold of this pinky right quick and show you what's going on. And so good. That pent-up rage that she has that makes her so formidable as a character and so dangerous, even on the battlefield, even with the low skill, is what makes this so watchable, because she is
Yes.
constantly at war with the world around her, even while being an innocent child. You know, she's not an innocent child. She doesn't allow herself to be. And therefore we get a little respite in seeing her in all these super dangerous situations. Like, no, she knows how to stab somebody. Like,
Right.
he shot that guy right in the neck, no hesitation,
Yeah.
you know, no evaluation. And so I think that's for her acting is just amazing to watch.
Yes, absolutely.
I just hope she wins all the awards. Like this show, if they don't win for special effects makeup, if Joel and her, you know, if they're not nominated, I mean, it was just, and literally, like, there were so many breakout characters. I mean, we had hinted upon Nick Offerman, who played Bill. I mean, his character, he deserves a guest starring, you know, Emmy something. You know, Ashley Johnson, who played Bella's mom, she actually was Bella in the game.
Yes.
So it was really full circle.
And she looked like
the actor who plays Marlene actually did the voice acting for Marlene in the game.
I just learned that.
Like, you know, there were so many parallels, and there were a lot of people cast in smaller roles who were actually part of the live action video game, either as actors or as side characters. And the people who played the game and were real big fans of the game would know these names, and some knew the faces. So they kind of got a little extra, you know, oh my God, when they come on the screen, and we had to watch the after credits to go, oh,
right.
That's awesome.
So we know that the series has been picked up. We know there's going to be a season 2.
Yes.
And so it's almost like they're heading into uncharted territories, because the game only takes you so far. And you mentioned earlier, you know, Hilton, that even with the game, this story is so much more broad than even what the game, you know, gave you. So do we have any predictions? Like, my head is spinning at the possibilities that could potentially happen. Christy, you lean forward. I mean,
yes, I'm leaning into it. I want to know.
I don't think they're gonna veer from because there's a second series of the game, and I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna stick with the game. Now, I haven't played it, so it's a mystery to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I don't think they're going to deviate that far from the game canon any more than they did in this first series. So, I mean, if you know what happened in the second release of the game, you probably know what's going to happen in the series to one degree or another. But
I'm going to keep myself in the dark. I don't want to know either. I don't want to know.
Right. Well, I think the beauty of all of this is that, again, think about the massive audience this thing has gained.
Christy, we're having some technical difficulties with you, but we heard everything that you said, so it's good. Yeah,
I thought so.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
I thought so. I was like, what's happening?
Okay. I know. It's like you start breakdancing. You don't even know. Okay, so if you haven't seen The Last of Us, watch it. And actually, I encourage you to watch it on HBO Max, because there you can see the after show, and it immediately comes on right after the episode. You don't even have to do anything. It really breaks down the game, the story, the creativity. You get to meet all the creators who, I mean, I really think it's going to do well. I think it's critically acclaimed, and people, I mean, I fell out of my chair for it. Every week I was rushing to my TV to watch it, and I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for season 2. But also, while we kind of been traveling and doing our thing, another movie came out, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania came out. Christy, unfortunately, lives in the sticks. I mean, they don't even have a movie theater where she lives, and it would take at least an hour for you to get to one. So it's okay. We're gonna fill you in. And it was my first impression of the movie. It was okay. I almost felt the same way I felt when I walked out of Thor: Love and Thunder. And I've seen Love and Thunder again since then, and I actually like it a little more now that I've seen it twice. What did you think, Hilton? Because I thought this was probably, if I have to rate the 3 different Ant-Man movies, this is probably my 3rd favorite.
It depends
on. This is minus Kang.
No, you can't minus Kang. Either Kang is in the review or he's not. He's in the movies in the review.
He is. Okay, go ahead. You go first.
Because I like what they did with Kang, who, if you haven't seen the movie because you saw bad reviews or whatever, it'll be on Disney Plus in a month. and you can watch it there. I don't think this is a movie you have to see in the theater for your own viewing purposes. I do, because I like supporting, movies, and I love the movie experience. But this is not one that if you didn't see in the movie, like, oh, you're going to miss all the stuff. This movie is what is known as a gateway movie. This story is being told so that we have the foundation to tell stories that are going to come from it. We have introduced, or if you want to say reintroduced, Kang, because we already met He Who Remains in Loki. And we know that Kang is the next part of Phase 5. And we're introduced to Kang the Conqueror. And this is going to be the most difficult character to introduce. Well, it was until they did it. And I think they did it brilliantly. And they had a lot of help from Jonathan Majors, who is a brilliant actor and did some amazing acting work, playing a character who is at some parts, as you see in the backstory being told, sympathetic. You're trying to figure out who this is, because we know that Kang is part of this, and we know not all Kangs are uniquely evil, because we've met He Who Remains, who is bad in one regard, but he wasn't like an evil guy. And his performance as a villain is what really makes this movie work. It's also a funny movie, right? There's the acting and the performances and the script is very funny. I think where people get lost, as I think they do with a lot of these movies, is the lack of Avengers on the screen is directly proportionate to people's enthusiasm after they leave the movie.
I don't agree, but we'll keep going. Keep going.
And it's just, numbers to numbers is just how it looks. Now you could say it's one thing or the other, but deep down we want to see more Avengers fighting together, right? You only had Vision and Wanda in WandaVision, so you had people who were kind of like, wasn't that great? But
that was a really good series.
Because it wasn't an Avengers movie, right?
Yeah.
So they tell this really great story, but the entirety of the story takes place in the quantum realm. So we have this backdrop we have to learn. There's all new characters, including we get introduced to this retcon version of MODOK. This is not how MODOK enters the MCU or the comic book universe. He is uniquely introduced to the MCU this way, which I thought was very smart, because you didn't have to reintroduce AIM and reintroduce all these other characters. I think it was really slick the way they did it. But man, like what Jonathan Majors is going to do with this role, oh my God, you just have to marvel at this, because he is going to get the opportunity to play so many different Kangs who have so many different personalities and backgrounds and goals and histories. And the end credit scene, the mid credit scene, is probably better than the movie.
It was.
Because you get to see it's pulled, I mean, right out of the comic page, this scene of the arena with the Council of Kangs. And you see all of these different versions of Kang, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Slightly different. Some are a little crazy. Some are alien, coming from all these different timelines, who are there to be the ones who fight. And they're all scared of Kang the Conqueror, who has died. And we know that Kang the Conqueror is going to show back up, and all these different Kangs, including Ramatut, who is going to be the protagonist or the antagonist in the series 2 of Moon Knight, right?
Yes.
And you're going to see, they're going to say what Victor Timely is going to be in Loki season 2.
Yes.
So we're going to see more of him very, very soon. Yeah. And if you know anything about Jonathan Majors, he has got some supreme acting chops, and he is going to give us an Oscar or an Emmy performance every time we see him on the screen.
Yeah.
We are going to see a lot of him. And if that's the only thing you took away from Quantumania, you had a great time. And I did, because that's what I took away.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree. I agree with mostly everything you said. Jonathan Majors is the truth. Jonathan Majors, for me, saved this movie. Like you said, he was vulnerable. You wanted to like him, then you wanted to hate him. It was like he gave us everything and forecasted like the horrificness that we're gonna get. Like, you just know, like they said, Thanos has nothing on Kang the Conqueror. So prepare yourself for that future. Exactly. Jonathan Majors delivered. I think for me, the only thing that wasn't clicking for me was everything else. It wasn't, and I'm not saying that worst way. It's just
it was weird.
It was just
weird.
it was like the story, like I just wasn't feeling the ending with the ants, and it was just, I mean, I just think that there were some things that could have been, I don't know. It just was a weird situation. But I didn't hate the movie. I can't say that I hated it. I enjoyed it. I will watch it again. The minute it hits Disney Plus, I'm going to probably watch it 3, 4, 5 times and get 8 other things from it. I guess I just was underwhelmed with the rest of the movie. Because, you know, like Ant-Man is usually kind of funny, and like the jokes were a little flat. You know, the daughter, I like that relationship between them, and I like where she was going, but it was just a little predictable for me. You know, I don't know. I like the
you said
quantum
it
realm.
right. I think you said it right. They are usually the subject of their movie. And it's the people play between the special effects and the superpowers that made Ant-Man 1 and 2 so fun to watch. But all the people you fell in love with in all the Ant-Man movies, his ragtag crew of criminals, T.I., all those people, the guy who does those retro, I don't know his name, does the quick, first of all, you know, that we kind of expected.
He's
We got none of it. They took Ant-Man.
They took all of it out.
Him all the way out of that and put him in the new space. And the characters that they were introducing us to were underwhelming. They really, you know, I mean, they were interesting to watch, but they were just people we needed to get by or around or through
to get to Kang.
Right. That's what I'm like. Even Bill Murray was underused. He had like 5 minutes in the scene. I thought he was going to be a major character, and he had like 2 lines, and then he was gone. I'm like, wait, what? This dude made the trailer.
And that was the part that that was the part that like kind of hurt my heart, because usually Ant-Man movies, the way that first movie came out, it like surprised the hell out of all of us. And what surprised the hell out of all of us was the heart behind those relationships and the heart behind the characters and just the story that Paul Rudd, you know, that Scott Lang would kind of carry on through this movie, you know. Right. And so for me, we didn't get a lot of those connections, and we didn't get a lot of the heart, but it still was a decent movie. It just wasn't one of my faves. Like I said, I know. I want you to see it though, Christy, and we'll probably come back and talk about
it. Christy is gonna love it because Jonathan Majors in it, and at one point he almost. And so I think her review is going to be, I want to review Kang. And it's called Quantumania. She's like, no. Kang. I'm gonna review Kang.
That part.
Yes.
But I gotta say, as a villain, and the way Jonathan Majors talked about how he was portraying Kang the Conqueror, it was really interesting to see like how much of a method actor he is, and how he really gets into his characters. And he was just like, he's like, Kang wastes no movement. And I remember hearing that before I watched the movie, and I watched him, and it was just like, he wasn't flailing his arms around. He wasn't walking fast nowhere. Like if he needed his hand to go over here and do something with his wrist, that's as far as it went. And if that's all it took to use telekinesis to throw somebody across the room, that's all he would do. He didn't yell. He wasn't like, crazy. He was very focused. He really rage. And I mean, he was brutal. So I was like, that's the Kang the Conqueror from the comics. And, you know, just the idea that you got this singular actor that can do it will make a movie like this watchable, which for me means that we have so much to look forward to. Because if Quantumania is the worst of which, it's when we say worst, it's only worse to a certain degree because of Marvel.
Yeah, it's like, it's still an 8. It's still an 8.
Right. The worst Marvel movies like a 7. Right, let's be honest. So if this is as low as it's going to get, and Kang being in it is going to make it this enjoyable, imagine putting him on the screen where all the material is up to par and all the characters have got their great lines, like we have with Loki and with other movies to be in.
I can't wait for him in Loki.
It's going to be amazing to watch him be this ongoing character in even better on-screen portrayal. So I'm excited even more for that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
So, Christy,
I can't wait.
You've got a lot to look forward to. It's still a good movie. Like when I say that it was the third out of the 3, honestly, 2 and 3 for me were kind of, you know, I don't know. Jonathan Majors really did the thing. So it's still an 8. It's still I mean, I've seen other Marvel movies where I was like, and walked out.
Right.
Was just mad, just let down, but this was not the feeling. I enjoyed it.
Can I say something to Black people real quick?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. We are going to be conflicted, Black people. Just if you're white or non-Black and you need to get a drink or go to the bathroom, now's your time. I just want to because the same way when we watched Black Panther, we weren't really sure if we were rooting against Killmonger. We're like, wait a minute. Like I actually wanted to see this brother's plan play out and see what happened. Like,
love it.
You're going to. I'm watching Kang talk about that brother making a couple of good points. Like, why don't we just let him do his thing for a little while, and then you're going to find yourself like rooting for these amazing Black characters. And when he shows up as Rama Tut, he is literally in Pharaoh costume, and you're like, they got this brother in a Pharaoh costume, like looking like King Tut, who is Rama Tut, an actual character who ruled ancient Egypt. He went back in time. We're gonna struggle with him being the villain. Like we're gonna be like,
I think,
like, you weren't like that.
It's like Namor,
like Namor, like Killmonger.
Yeah.
We're gonna be kind of like, we could go either way.
Marvel has done a beautiful job. It's done a beautiful job with writing villains to where we are conflicted. We have to love to hate them. Like there's no just clear like I just hate him. I just don't want to. Like we struggled with Killmonger and then Namor and now Kang. Like it's literally it's not easy. Like we want like you said you
know some of that has to do with pectorals and biceps. Y'all ain't rooting for the skinny fat back character. Y'all the shirt off brother he getting a second look. He getting a second look. Y'all like, let's hear what that brother got to say for y'all start judging him.
Yes. Yeah, no, it has absolutely everything to do with that. They've done great casting. Thank you, Sarah Finley.
Hello.
Thank you, Sarah Finley, for finding these beautiful specimens.
The athletic training staff that's getting them fit.
All of
that. 8% body fat.
Because I saw some before and afters of both Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors prior to their Marvel experience. So, we appreciate the training staff. I also, want to send a shout out to our queen, Angela Bassett, who was robbed and during the Oscars, like just robbed. Like I can't even, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. She's an icon. We love her.
Yes.
She deserves all the love and praise, but this was Angela's year. This role, I mean, she left it all on the table. She ripped our heart out, and I loved Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I felt like, Michelle Kwan, and I felt like the actors who won the other Oscars, they should have won those. But Jamie Lee Curtis did not deserve Best Supporting Actress. And unfortunately, Oscars have always let us down when it comes to stuff like this. And it just blows my mind that she didn't get it.
And it's also because it's a Marvel movie. The Academy does not like superhero movies. They do not like
just bougie.
Then how do you allow the nomination then? That's just the crappy crap about it.
Well, you know what? The music and special effects and cinematography, those Oscars don't have the competition at that category level for it to be like, if we nominated, we're going to have a situation where Jamie Lee Curtis is going against Angela Bassett. There was nothing even close to them winning, when they were doing the costume design. Like there was nobody in the ballpark of Ruth Carter. And we knew that. But, the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is in the ballpark or even on the field of competition for, Best Supporting is, that's their opportunity to go against that grain, and they didn't do it. And this is also standing. This is what standing looks like. I know there's people out here watching this going, well, Jamie Lee, this. You're probably 100% right. But when we talk about supporting actors and actresses that we love, then that's what you get. You go for Angela. We support Angela. I don't need to hear about Jamie Lee Curtis's resume and everything. I know it.
Icon.
And she's an icon, and she's great, and she's wonderful. I don't have to quantify the math. The math is not what we're doing here. We are supporting an actor who has contributed so much over the decades and won nothing. And it is time.
Not even been recognized.
Not even been recognized. And what's
not
going to
even
happen?
An honorable mention.
She's going to get like some Lifetime Achievement Award 20 years from now, or she's going to get nominated for some film where, you know, she was great in, but it wasn't as great as this.
It's going to be an Al Pacino, where you win for The Scent of a Woman, but you didn't win for Godfather, or you didn't win for, you know, it's like, it's ludicrous.
or like a Denzel who won for Training Day and not everything else he's ever
Malcolm
done.
X.
Exactly.
Didn't win for Malcolm X.
Let's just start there. Yeah, we can start there for sure.
Yeah. It was disappointing. I mean, there was obviously really good highs during the like I said, the other two actors from Everything Everywhere All at Once, they deserve those Oscars. They were amazing. Like, it was just, you know, they really brought it. I've met both of them, and they're beautiful people, and it's so deserving. But yeah, this was Angela's year. Like, it was literally, it was like a vacuum. It sucked the air out the room when they did not call her name. And even they criticized her for the look on her face. And I said, you know what?
She can't
America, you gotta let us be disappointed. Like, it's almost like Black women can't have emotion. We can't be angry. We can't be disappointed. We can't be sad. We're like, no, we are not robots. We felt everything. And I want to salute the two men, Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, for coming on stage. And they were like, hey, auntie, and they were like, we love you. They knew in that moment, like, they'd been sucker punched by it all as well. So yeah,
I thought Jonathan Majors was going to march. He came out in that civil rights outfit. I was like, damn. I said, hey, we got to get some new rights out this joint. He trying to get reparations on stage right now.
We need Jonathan Majors to get a stylist.
Right. No, I loved it. I'm looking for that. I'm like,
Jonathan Majors is civil rights time. He's civil rights time.
He said he can get the vote. Huh?
He kept that suit from Lovecraft Country. Oh, but guys, we're at the end of the show. We had so much fun talking to you guys this week. I hope you guys watched The Last of Us, watch Ant-Man, Team Angela Bassett. They're watching you. So guys, have a great week. We love you. We mean it. Have a great one. Bye.
Tune in every Tuesday for a new episode of the BOP, the BLERD Official Podcast.